Biology 101 part 2, sacred geometry. So I got some visuals for the ones who weren't able to catch it the first time. Okay, so remember how I told you we count wrong. And so here is the number 1, right? And remember how I told you what number is directly connected to the number 1? The number 7. Can y'all see? Y'all, these my baby letters out the tub. Anyways, can y'all see? Like, it ain't nothing but an extension. And so it's someone in something that have gained experience, because we know a 1 is a new beginning, and we know 7 is a good luck. 1 represents a fool. 7 represents somebody who might have gained knowledge and experience, who now might be perceived as lucky, but in actuality, they just know how to maneuver in the universe and in the matrix type shit. Okay, so now we have the number 2, and we already talked about the number 2 and how the number 2 is the divine plan, and how the number 2 is actually a loop, right? The number 2 is a loop, and I'll show you how the number 2 is a loop. The number 2 is a loop because the number 2 will have you thinking that you're making a choice, which is the direct opposite, which is the number 5. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to clean them off. But anyways, which is, because they fall on the floor, which is the number 5, so it's the direct opposite. So to have you thinking you're making a choice, because the number 2 represents free will, and this represents a divine plan. And the free will have you thinking, okay, I'm making this choice, so I'm trying to figure out who I am in life. Whole time it's going to take you back to your divine purpose, because that purpose is you, is your essence, is your frequency. So the number 5 will actually have you looping right back into the number 2. It's a loop. So it's the same energy, just a loop, right? So after 2, you have the number 3, right? And so the number 3, we already know, is directly connected to the number 8. When I said that it was half of the number 8, if anybody was confused, hopefully this visual right here will help you gain a better understanding on how the number 8 represents eternity, infinite, and how when you separate from that eternal, that mother, that divine, which is the divine consciousness, the consciousness, which is the mind, the body, and the soul, you become the number 3. You become yourself. You become that essence who is able to make that free will. So it's all connected. But I'm trying to give you a visual so that way you can understand better what I'm talking about. So it's half of that, because you are that divine. You are that divine. You are that mother. You are the creator. When they tell you created in God's image, that is the created in God's image. Okay, so then you have the number 4. Everything that sits stable sits on 4 wheels. A half of 4, 2 wheels. 4 represents stability. It represents strong. It represents a leg, right? And so same thing. Hold on, Zachariah. Hold on. My baby over here too. And also the 0. Think about anything that sits inside of a pool. It's stable. Water, in a circle. It holds it. It's a container. Think about that. So same thing with the number 4. Both of these are connected to stability. And then you have the number 6 ether, and you have the number 9. Think about how you have a certain type of people who are supposed to be the 9 ether being, which is, and then you have the other people who's supposed to be 6 ether being, which is, and how I talked about this is the direct duality. So as above, so below. You can think about good and evil. You can think about a baby being in a womb, and how the baby head is down, but soon as the baby come into this matrix, now the head up. But I'm sitting, and now the baby head is up, and so duality, as above, so below. And so we're not technically supposed to count in a linear point, because technically nothing exists in 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing, everything is a wave. And so when you think about numbers, it's supposed to be in a wave. When you think about frequencies, it's supposed to be in a wave. And so if you're trying to understand frequencies in a linear point of view, you're never going to get it. If you're trying to understand your essence and your purpose in a linear point of view, you're never going to get it. Because sometimes you might be in this point in your life to where you're cycling through a lesson more than once until you get it. And then you might go to a point which can be a 2. So then you might get to a point to where you're at a 1 and you get it. You know, you don't have to go through that multiple times. And so looking at life and not a 1, 2, 3 point of view will slow you down. You won't age because we're not even supposed to age. So even that 1, 2, 3 counting our years is fucking us up. We're not even supposed to be doing that. And so like I said, if y'all want me to go on further detail, I don't want to put all of our sacred knowledge on this type of platform just because everybody have access to it. So I am coming up with some type of a website to where it is exclusive, so that I'm not just putting all of our shit out there, because this is for us, and technically we are the ones who can truly benefit from this. And I don't want nobody else coming out here trying to make it seem like they don't want anybody coming out trying to make it seem like they created this type of knowledge and then we got it stolen, just like bonnets and boots. Then everybody a cowboy and all that other type of shit. But the whole time we know who the original everything is. And so I want to keep something sacred, but I did want to kind of give y'all like some type of preview into the knowledge of what I'm talking about, because a lot of the times when I start to share this type of shit, people can't follow me. And so it seems, because I asked y'all if y'all wanted me to go into further detail, y'all are following me, and so I will. And like I said, I want to keep this type of thing sacred, because that's exactly what it is. It wasn't meant to be shared with everybody, and so we got to honor that as well. All right, y'all, bye.